91-year-old Professor Jagdish Bhagwati, one of the most renowned economists in the world from the Columbia School. Now, Dr. Amit Kapoor, Honorary Chairman of the Institute of Competitiveness, is with us. Dr. Kapoor, let's unpack some of that stuff. What sectors should India be concentrating on at a time like this? We already know AI is sweeping across industry.
So, this is something very important. One is, of course, there are those pan-India answers in terms of what needs to be done. From a pan-India perspective, we need to focus on agriculture very, very clearly, because that's where most of the employment is. But the second thing that we have to fundamentally look at is, semiconductors we're already doing. We've also done something like the production link incentive scheme, which is a very powerful example across sectors of what can be done. But there are 2 or 3 other sectors which can be defining what India needs to actually be driving in the future. One is going to be healthcare. And healthcare, because of this whole AI transformation that is happening, healthcare is going to be fairly different. And India has the technological, capability to really move it forward. So healthcare is going to be very, very good. And there are 2 perspectives to it. One is, of course, going to be diagnostic. The other thing is going to be creating that full capability across different set of states, villages, and cities. So that's going to create a huge job potential as well. Third is going to be education. I think India is just at the tip of the education. And in fact, today Prime Minister made a very important point in his speech that, if you really look at the number of ranking of universities, they've trebled over the last few years. So look at that figure. So Indian education is just getting started now, and especially the higher education. In the next 10 years to 20 years, Indian education or higher education is going to be at a very different juncture than what we are really looking at. So that is also another sector which is going to really pop up. But if you really see, these are pan-India things, but there are states which can be phenomenally doing something exceptional. If you really talk about a state of Gujarat,
yes.
Chemicals is going to be very, very good. Gems and jewelry is going to be good. If you go to Tamil Nadu, then it is going to be something like Indian handicrafts and things across the border state, things that you're able to build up. So across states, there are so many things. Tourism is going to be one hell of a sector across the country. In fact, in India, tourism is so untapped right now. But with this whole development of infrastructure that we are seeing, with ease of travel and ease of movement of people, those are the sectors which are really going to come up. And the most positive thing about this is that the multiplier it is going to create. One is, of course, the sectors we need to focus on. But for India, the multiplier of these things is going to be tremendous. In fact, the direct, indirect, and the induced impact of all these efforts is going to be huge. In fact, a very simple example is the Kevadia example. I always say that if you really look at the statue that was built there,
right.
And what happened there? In fact, there was so much criticism at one point in time for that statue. But if you really look at it, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue is out there, the number of people who visit there, about 100,000 people, 40,000 jobs, and the multiplier is huge. And it is just getting started. And when you really look at this whole tourism aspect in India, it is just going to create a lot of wealth and opportunities for people.
Absolutely. Also, Dr. Kapoor, to what extent are digital reforms bringing about greater income equality across the country? Because that was one of the big concerns, is that, growth is taking place, but is, inequality coming down?
So, when you talk about inequality, there are 2 ways of looking at inequality. One is, of course, the income part of it. And there could always be a debate when people will say that, that income inequality exists. But there is also something else, and that is about the social equality that exists. And if you really look at the complete picture in terms of, say, the integrated view of how to look at poverty, the multidimensional poverty, we do see that it has reduced tremendously in India. And without a doubt, you can't question that perspective. The only thing is going to be on income levels. Yes, there is always going to be the thing in terms of people will become richer. There would be somebody who's going to be at the lower end. But that is a phenomena which happens across the world. It's not only in India. But what we are seeing from multidimensional, yes, it has phenomenally reduced. The second thing in terms of digitization, one of the most important aspects on this is that whole idea of Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile. I think the more we say, the less it is. Because for a simple reason, Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile has been a transformational journey for India over the last 10 years. Look at the kind of information access that we get. Look at the kind of banking access we've had. The unbanked women were able to get their So today, that whole information flows that we are talking about and the financial flows that we are talking about has
Right.
had huge social impact as well. So one is economic, the other one is social. I think the transformation in the lives of women is absolutely stunning. They are empowered citizens today, far more empowered than what they were actually in the past as well.
I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this discussion. Thanks very much, Dr. Amit Kapoor. Thank you for joining us.